Hey everyone. I'm gonna do a quick lesson, I think, on one of the more underrepresented guitar players, and it doesn't get enough attention or instruction, and that would be Johnny Moore. Um, so if you're not familiar, Johnny Moore played with Charles Brown, and actually Charles Brown played in his band. It was called the Blazers. And Johnny Moore is the older brother to Oscar Moore, who played the Nat King Cole Trio. So if you don't have any of that stuff, I think that's probably a good go-to, a must-have. Now, Charles Brown had a huge hit with a tune called Drifting Blues. And it's probably one of the most covered songs there is. And if you look on YouTube, the first thing that'll pop up is probably Clapton playing it. And it was a big hit for Charles Brown. I've never seen anyone try to quote the Johnny Moore solo. Um, Pretty much, it's a Clapton take, or if you hear the Johnny Otis version, it's just a slow blues. And there's a lot of versions of it since it was such a massive hit for both Charles Brown and for the Blazers. Both Charles Brown played it through his long career, and same thing, the Blazers played it through theirs with multiple vocalists. Now, the one thing that stands true through most of the versions that Johnny Moore played on is the solo remains pretty consistent. There are variants, but for the most part, the foundation stays the same. So I'm looking at, I think, the original version, and I'm trying to remember which year that was released, and it was released in the late 40s. Don't have a year offhand, but you're going to find that no matter what version you pull off, you look for Charles Brown, you're going to be able to find this is going to make sense. And you're going to see quotes that run, that are very repetitious in different different cuts. And you're going to see that these quotes run through most of his slow blues. So it's a good springboard if you want to get into Johnny Moore. The tough thing is, with all these great guitar players, is their phrasing. The slow tempo, I don't think this thing even breaks 80 beats per minute. It's a slow tune. So that makes it difficult. The other thing too is that it's very arpeggio based, running opposite of slow blues of like T-Bone Walker or something, where you have those chord tones, but you're running a lot more over the pentatonic tones, and it's a little more conversational, in my opinion. So the Johnny Moore is in the key of E, and so this is also a great gateway for you guys if you're looking at trying to still get your feet wet in playing in alternate cage patterns or grips. So being in the key of E, there's a fatness that's got to be able to come from the middle of the guitar neck right there. And the kickoff is going to be starting on the raised 9. And it's got to be on the 4th beat coming in. So that's a great 1-chord lick. Nothing fancy about it. It just sounds unique in the E since we're playing it right here. Now in most blues, you make a transition to a quick 4, especially when you're playing super slow. The slower it is, the more of an urge we're going to have to be able to make some sort of motion in our music. So it does go to the Forecourt. And we're going to play this line. So we're going to be going from C structured E to the E structure. And we're going to be utilizing that pattern with those with some of those pentatonic tones. And so that's got to kind of encroach back on the 1. So if I play that, hopefully without screwing up, we're going to get... That's like 2 bars. Now watch this. We're going to be taking now from here. The beautiful thing about these different structures is that both the C structure and the A structure will share the same root, which is going to be that fifth string. The G structure and the E structure share the same root, which is going to be the sixth string. So there's going to be a nice linear motion going across up and down, you know, with the grain of the strings as opposed to against them, going up and down. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the A structure E, and we're going to have this nice walk. And that will pretty much complete the first 4 bars. So let me play this slow. Back on the C structure. That's the first 4 bars. When we go to the forecourt, we're going to be using, you know, in most blues, we're going to use ninth chords. The ninth chord is great because if you haven't done any studying of Charlie Christian, he's got some very nice laid out arpeggios that, you know, if you swing them, they're going to sound very musical. And it seems to be a very period-based arpeggio that was a nice springboard for a lot of other guitar players. And another thing to note is that Johnny Moore was older than his brother, and so I believe, I'm not quite sure when his career began, but I think he was born right around the same time as T-Bone Walker. So he was born in 1906, and I'm not quite sure how much later Oscar Moore was born. But you see a huge difference in approach from blues guitar players that were born at maybe, you know, the 1906, 1910, so they started playing, you know, in the late 20s, early 30s, and the guys who were born in the 30s, guys like Gory Carter and the West Coast T-Bone inflected players. So it's an important thing that to note in their style, not just region, but also the point at which they began their musical career. So enough blabber on that. So now we're going to be going to the forecourt, which is going to be over this A, and I'm using this arpeggio right here. So I have like a ninth. I'm going to play that very slowly. All these notes will function nicely over an A ninth chord. And it's the stuff you hear like in a lot of the Charlie Christian stuff. So if he's chunking away. So stuff like that, where you have this movement that's going up, down, over a dominant chord, works out well. And that ninth chord, depending on the interval you start, has a nice way of leading as a 2-5-1, which I'll put together in one of my website lessons. But so bear with me here. We're going to be playing a ninth chord arpeggio over the A. We're pulling from those notes. We're going to hit. What I'm doing right there is part of this part of the A. Here's the A, and that extension of it is right here. And I'm hitting these two notes, 9 and 7. Hammer to the major third. That's like pretty much one bar of the forecourt. And the second bar is going to be roughly over the same arpeggio shape. ending on the 6, and that's going to be getting us back in the 1, transitioning to the 5. So if I play the 2 bars of 4, it's going to sound like this. Now we're going to be back on the 1, and this is a to me, this is one of the favorite licks, and I'm surprised I don't play it more often. But we're going to be transitioning to the 5, so we're going to be going to the E structure E up here, and we're going to be starting on the 5. We're going to fold. Again, just a major chord with the 5, and we're going to be sliding, like from the major 7, 9. Ending up on the 6 and the root right there. And that's got to get us into the 5 right there. And we're going to be arpeggiating off of this B right here. So we're going to see. That's right there. So we're going to go. Chord, we're going to stay on there, and what we're going to do is we're going to be using the C structure, 5 right here. And we're going to be hitting the tonic of the B right there. I know it looks confusing. If you haven't gotten used to playing the major scale in the different groupings, or the pentatonic scale at least, it's definitely worthwhile to do. But this will kind of give you some nice licks and some quotes that'll help kind of reinforce your usage of these different structures, especially since I've defined them all for you, and you'll be able to look and be able to kind of modularly plug these ideas in there. And since it is so slow, the bar lines are definitely a little askew on when he starts and where he pulls away. And the only way to probably improve that, especially if you're looking to have more accurate quotes of Johnny Moore, is pick up a lot of his records, do a lot of listening, and you're going to find that a lot of these lines run over and over and over again. So back to it, we're going to be on the 5 chord right here. And that's back on the 1. So we've got to take it from here. Let me take it from the very top. So we're going to start with down here. The C structure E. Sorry about that one flub right there. But I hope that gives you some stuff to work on, and definitely pick up more Johnny Moore stuff. So hope you enjoy it. Take care, guys. Bye bye.